Hello everyone and welcome to my kingdom. I have some semi-bad news and good news. Besides that, today's video is going to be on making a driftwood structure for your aquarium. You can just put them in separately or singularly, but sometimes if you create a piece out of like smaller pieces, it gives it more structure and it can hold your scape together longer too. So the bad news is that I may be moving soon, so that means I will have to take down all of my tanks, or at least get them manageable to move and like unfilled with water. So that means the waterfall tank that I just set up is going to come down. It's a scape with a lot of loose rock, like the rocks aren't connected together, which is something doing this might help with too during the moves. It's more structurally sound since everything's put together. I did that with the lava stone before, but those series stones are loose, and if I move them, most likely the scape won't even survive and it may even break or fall apart too. So pretty much I will be taking down most of my tanks, but that does mean I get a fresh start later on. The good news is that I got a new tank and I can still hoard dry goods until the move because they are easier to move than tanks that are already established. So right here I have some things that I recommend and things that I have used myself. The only thing I don't have right now is silicone. Silicone you can use after you use this or singularly by itself. It'll hold things together and it is aquarium safe. So the things I do have to show you guys, the first one is going to be a gel super glue. I have two kinds right here, but anything with the ingredient right here, sienna acrylate, is what you're going to want to look for, and it'll hold underwater and it cure underwater if you want to too. And then I also have Gorilla Glue. I've done research and I have used this myself. If you give it enough time to cure, it does become inert and won't affect your water chemistry or hurt your pets in any way. There's also the Gaps and Cracks expanding foam. The thing with this is you could build a whole structure. It expands, it gets really fluffy, holds together very well. You can add rock and driftwood into it. However, if you do that, it's semi-stuck in there and getting it out or cleaning it off is going to be a pain in the butt. And then silicone comes in black and clear. You can use that if you want to. I wouldn't say there's a best one or a worst one. It kind of depends on what you want to do. So if I'm using like very fine small things, you can use this. The only reason I'm not using this just because it's a medium-sized project, so I'm gonna need a bit more of a hold than just glue. I don't know how to explain it, but super glue sometimes doesn't hold the best over time. What does hold the best over time, I would say, is the Gaps and Cracks, just because it's really solid in there. And I do like the Gorilla Glue too. You can break either of these apart if you want to shape them. This one's a little harder. This one you can carve with just a blade. This one, it's going to be a very dense foamy consistency texture, so I wouldn't recommend this one for carving at all. So I had bought myself a new tank, and with the shelf I used it for my old betta tanks, but I took them down and now I want to get back into bettas again. So I think I'll go with two of these ones on top of that shelf. So like I said, I can't set it up now, but I can work on hardscape and any of the dry material that's going to be in this tank. So in the instances I might be able to get away with super glue if it's very fine wood that doesn't need holding together that much. But since, like I said, it is a medium project, I'm going to be going with Gorilla Glue. It bonds very well to anything with like a bit of a thicker consistency. If I wanted to connect it here, for the super glue, like these little pieces to connect anywhere would be more than enough. You can use Gaps and Cracks as well. You can even use that to build a structure and put the wood in there, but I'm not doing that because I don't want anything permanent in this tank or that's going to be difficult to get out. So before this video, I had thought I had super glue already or the Gorilla Glue. I didn't. I flipped the house for about an hour, still didn't find it, so I just went to the store and bought a new one. So this is just going to be the original Gorilla Glue. I normally give it more than 24 hours, sometimes 48 to cure, just to make sure it is cured all the way through. It says full cure in 24 hours, but since it is going into aquarium, which is going to be wet, the longer the better. And since this isn't going to be in water anytime soon, it's probably going to be in here for a few weeks. But anyways, so this is a UNS 45S, which is a 5-gallon shallow tank. And the reason I love shallow tanks is that you can kind of get like a diorama going on and you can go above the water line. Another thing I love about it, it is great for fish. So normally rectangle tanks, they're fine, but with the size of 5 gallons, a rectangle is a lot smaller, whereas shallow tanks give you much more of a bigger footprint, which fish prefer to swim sideways rather than up and down. Especially with bettas who have to go directly up to the surface to breathe, it is a lot easier on them. Since I'm using Gorilla Glue, I wanted to point out another con that I did not like about it. So you only need a very small amount since it kind of foams up and sticks to everything around it. Basically what I don't like about it is that you have to wait for that. So it's not instantly sticky, you kind of have to hold it in place with some rubber bands or clamps until it dries. Whereas super glue, it normally, if it doesn't take the hold right away, it'll dry in a few minutes. So what I may end up doing is just doing a few dots of super glue just to get it, and then squeezing in some Gorilla Glue to make sure it gets that strong hold. I apologize for talking so much, but I really want to get all the details just so if you have any questions, they are already answered. So my inspiration with this tank is Big Sur River. So what I wanted to do with this tank is use all this driftwood. I got a few smaller pieces that kind of blend in and I could put them together to make it look like roots, but that will be going along the back. Hopefully I can get a lot of mosses and some hydrocotyl because they did have clovers there too. I'll most likely be running a hang on back right here, and then I did want to do a background structure to where I build up from the back and have a few trees out as well. So I'm just gonna kind of arrange and move around and see what I like, and then once I do like it, I will secure it with some glue and then I'll let it dry. Again, this is the UNS 45S, which is a 6-gallon shallow. It's around 18 inches by 11. Okay, that's the wrong label because it says it's only 5 inches tall, which is 7 inches, I believe. That's strange. I think they might have mixed up the numbers. It was supposed to be 7.42. It's 4.72. So I'm gonna kind of just swivel around this way so you guys can see what I'm doing and I can see what I'm doing too. So these larger pieces that I got are Pacific wood, and then I got a couple pieces of spider wood to make it look like some roots. They are a different color up here, but once they soak in water, they're all gonna be brown. So again, with aquascaping, all the time you can spin pieces. Like sometimes when you go to the store and pick out these woods, you look at it, it's like, oh, this would make a nice piece. You bring it home and it doesn't exactly go. Like you could also put it this way or this way. There's an unlimited amount of possibilities, and you're not always stuck to what you see first. It's not often that I get it on the first try, but I'm very happy with how it turned out. And I did want it to run along the entire back, and it is doing that. So basically, I have them semi-balanced to a point where they could stand on their own for a bit where they are. I will just put some drops of the Cyan Acrylate super glue, which is the gel super glue, just to get it a quick bond, and then once that dries, I'll go over it with the Gorilla Glue to make sure it stays. Again, with the Gorilla Glue, it does expand, so when you put some on there, you really want a minimal amount. I always like to shake my super glue before I use it. I don't think it separates, but it's just a habit. And then one hard down to make sure it's at the top. And also, if you don't want to work in the tank because you don't want to get glue on it, you could just cut out a piece of paper in the same size or cardboard in the background and work in there too. Another piece of advice, what I'm struggling right now with, is I lifted a piece to get the glue contact and I don't remember where I put it. But like I said, endless possibilities. So with the super glue, I don't mind putting a bit more on there because I know it won't expand, and the amount I'm putting on will more likely shrink than expand. Okay, so I'm gonna give those pieces some time to cure. I do have one more, but I want the other ones to be exactly where they're gonna be before I attach that one. It's kind of cool how this one just like puzzle pieces. Wait, okay, I guess I'll just glue it now. Sorry for blocking you guys real quick. Okay, so I'm just gonna let this like actually dry for maybe about 15 minutes to half an hour. Normally if it's like semi-cured, you really don't need that long, but if it's semi-cured and you move it, it kind of breaks the bond that you were like working with, and then you gotta wait for like another 10 so minutes. It's just that with super glue, some things like will stick right away, like your fingers or plastics, and then some things you just have to wait for the super glue to dry. So I'm just gonna stop the camera right here, let it dry, and then I will be back with the Gorilla Glue. So I forgot to add some tips in just to let you guys know. Don't forget about your substrate layer, so whatever you're making may be higher than it actually will be in the tank right now, and you will have to waterlog it. If you've never had driftwood before or you're just new to aquascaping, normally when you get fresh wood and put it in your tank, it will float. It's going to take a while for the water to actually seep into the wood and sink on its own and stay down. Two ways to get around that: you can boil the wood before doing this, or you could just weigh it down until it doesn't float anymore. Boiling the wood does get it to sink the day of obtaining your wood, and it also does take out all the tannins if you don't want your water to turn brown. A con that I've heard is sometimes boiling your wood can break it down faster, but I personally have not had issues with that. And if you're going to naturally waterlog it, it just takes a longer time. You might just have a rock sitting in your hardscape for a while, weighing it down until it sinks on its own, and it also does leach the tannins into the water. Okay, while you guys are gone and I was waiting for the glue to settle too, I did just take the two accent pieces of spider wood and add an arch right here and an arch right here. Originally, I had wanted to use them at the bottom for the roots that go into the river and under the substrate in the river, but it was lacking a little bit of texture on the top, and like I said, with aquascaping, there are infinite possibilities. So I went ahead and glued everything. Mostly everything is dry except for this one right here. It's only because I do only have two small points of contact, so it may just be wiggly until I get the Gorilla Glue on it. And another tip to add in, if you kind of see pieces that you say like, they don't go together very well, that is okay because you can cover it up with plants. If you put moss there, no one will tell that they're even two pieces. Okay, again, I'm gonna let it dry even more, then I will bring you guys back. Alright, so everything is dry. I'm gonna go in with the Gorilla Glue. I'm gonna head to the back of the tank just so it's a little easier to, if I apply there, it'll be hidden somewhat, but regardless, I will cover a lot of it with moss, so in my case, seeing the glue isn't gonna be an eyesore for me. I think I'm just gonna bring you guys closer so you can see the amount I apply and how much it actually expands. So I'm gonna start with the inside points over here. And you're gonna also wanna make sure you get it pretty close. Have it applied, and then I'm gonna move it over there with a zip tie. So as you can see, very small amount. Excuse my mess in the background. Well, don't excuse it, but it's there. Again, just like one drop there. So this is gonna give it a very solid bond. Right here as well. Where these two pieces are meeting. One drop. Also, when it does expand, it's not the same honey color that you see. It sort of turns a creamy white. So one more contact point I can do is behind this piece here. Oh, that's going to show up because I dropped some in the front. I think I will do one drop in here too. It's a little bit more hidden. So basically I'll do that also right here where these two pieces meet, and probably right back here where these two pieces meet. So I'm gonna get that done and then I'll bring you guys back. Just cutting in one more time. I did forget, it's been so long since I used the Gorilla Glue method, but before you apply it, you do want to wet the surface area. Just like dampen it with a Q-tip or a paper towel. It helps it adhere better, but I already have the glue, and with the humidity in my room, I'm sure it doesn't make a difference. So we're still just waiting for it to cure. And again, it does take a whole day, but usually within an hour or two, you kind of see it expand and bubble up, and it basically is its final form. It's just the 24 hours does cure it all the way to make sure all the moisture is really out of the glue. Okay, I would say it's been about half an hour or so, and it's basically started to expand. So I just wanted to show you guys what that looks like so you see what you're looking at or what you're looking for when you use Gorilla Glue. Oops. Okay. So right here are the joints that I glued. You can just see it expands. And remember, I only put a very small amount on, just to keep it minimal. But you can tell the cream color that I was talking about blends in with the wood fairly well. The wood will get darker when it's in the water, but it still looks a lot more natural than some other things. And again, you can cover it with moss. So this is the finished hardscape. And like I said, it's basically now one piece. And I wanted it to look like a root system. And it's going to be above the water a little bit. Like I said, the substrate will rise above it. I don't want to put this under the substrate because I will lose a lot of texture. So it'll be above the water at some points, just like the Big Sur River is. And this is basically the complete product. I'll put you guys back real quick. Again, I know it was a ton of talking, but I did want to get all the information out there for you guys if you want to do this yourself. You can also do this with any type of stone. I've done it with the blue petrified wood, which is the one that's like sideways granite that I was talking about. You just do want to make sure you bond those ones together while it dries. So I stacked the rocks on top of each other, and I did rubber band it while it dried for the day. So it's super easy if you want to do it yourself. This is the finished product. And if I left anything out, please feel free to leave any comments. I will get back to them. And if you did enjoy this video or find it informative, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, this tank's gonna be empty for a while, so I might work on some other empty tanks in the meantime, but the room will be coming down. So until next time, see you later, everyone.